Elenee and Kaégan, welcome to Cross Currents. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
And welcome back. I heard you were just at the Selah Music Awards. How was that time?
Oh, man, it was so fun. It was such a nice way to connect all of us. Well, I say Canadians, it really was global. It was a global show, but it happened in Canada. And I felt like there was so much unity that happened within even just the Canadian artist segment. And people came from all over the country to be there. Some friends I haven't seen in a couple years since the last Canadian awards show. So it was really cool. And then, yeah, getting to meet people from literally all over the continent really was so cool. How was it for you, Kaégan, as the American of the clan?
Well, come to find out, there were more Americans there, and I just didn't know until like the last minute. So I felt kind of bad about that. But it was overall such a cool experience. And honestly, Justin, that was my first award show ever when it comes to like being nominated and stuff. So it was a fantastic experience, especially with like how thought through everything was and how well performed things were. It was just amazing. Wonderful time.
Do you find that atmosphere, Kaégan, different from the Nashville scene?
I think so. With Nashville, everywhere you turn, people are doing music. So it's almost like doing music is kind of two sides of it. Like there's everybody's doing it, or people are, if they're a songwriter, they're heavy into it, and that is their identity. It's all in the songs. But it felt like while I was in Canada with all these people, it felt like they knew where it came from and they were giving it right back. So all glory to God, really. That's kind of how it felt for me. And it could just be my perception, right? It could just be like the Nashville kid being in a completely new space, and that's just his perception. But the way it felt was it felt very God-centered, and I loved that.
And so how did you both start to collaborate?
Back in like 2023, I was trying to challenge myself. I wanted to find some people, and it's not just like people, but also like mentor-esque people to grow in my writing. And so I was trying to be a bit braver with who I was reaching out to. And Elenee and I have been connected for a long time. So I was like, you know what? We've never written. So I just reached out to her regarding a song that I started. We just became good old buddies, and here we are. And we started writing more together, and we've been writing more together. When I was a kid, I had this mentor of mine kind of have me under his wing. And I got thrown into all these writing rounds with people, and they're just regular Joe. You wouldn't even expect them to be amazing writers, but I learned so much from them. And so I think having that mindset, Justin, kind of helped me back in 2023, because I've written with some amazing people since then, but I had to kind of just put myself out there a bit and be willing to somebody say, hey, that idea could be better, or maybe if you went this route. That's kind of what I was trying to accomplish in 2023.
And the latest single you've done together, Depths. Yeah, if you could tell us a little bit about that process of how the song came to be and maybe how it was doing the video.
Kaégan and I had been writing quite a bit, like so we had done Provider, and then we had written kind of some other stuff together within that little time frame. And then he reached out, I want to say it was like this past fall, was like, hey, a friend of mine, his name is Cam, he sent me this track and he wants to know if we could like top write on it. And of course I was new to that term and I was a little nervous, but I took a listen and immediately I was drawn in. Like it was just such I don't even know how to explain it. It just felt like a warm hug. And what we were getting from Cam was essentially the intro, and I think it was the first verse and chorus maybe. But just the instruments. And I don't know, there was just something about it that I couldn't not write on that. So I was like, absolutely. And so Kaégan put us in a group chat, which now has a crazy obscure name called Kaleni Ron, which is all of our names put together. And we just, I don't know, I think we set something up for, I want to say Halloween. And we all hopped on Zoom. That was my first time getting to meet Cam. And it was such a cool experience because Kaégan had already, had some ideas floating around. I think the track name that Cam had given the track was Depths. And so Kaégan took the concept of depths and ran with it. And I think you wrote the chorus. And then we basically kind of just recreated, sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. Cam recreated the rest of the song while Kaégan and I wrote the rest of the song. Which was super cool. It was fun. It was like nothing I've ever done before in the coolest way. Getting to see Cam like produce a song real time happening right in front of my face was so cool. And then trying to concentrate on like making this lyrically really cool. And I think we came out with a banger.
What was crazy was I was so influenced by his idea of it being depths. I wrote the idea for the chorus in like 10 minutes and sent it to them before our write. But what was the most impressive thing was how quickly Cameron worked. And it was actually a little bit like humbling because he's so talented, and it was like just the fact that he was willing to work with us was very just like, man, it's cool to have a friend like that. And it was just a great experience working with him, and we're obviously going to work with him again because now he's just become a great buddy. So he is one of my best friends now, and he's just amazing.
Oh, and I love the saxophone section on that. That's incredible.
Yeah,
that was Cam.
You had mentioned that you do some like 80s and 90s Christian music, and I feel like this really leans into sort of that synth pop of the 80s and 90s, and that saxophone solo like mixed with the key change. There's just something so nostalgic about it. And yeah, just the idea, I feel like, was it on the Zoom call, Kaégan, that Cam brought up a saxophone solo? Like, I feel like we were both just like flabbergasted. Like we were like immediately yes.
on the same Zoom call, the word key change was mentioned, and then Cameron, Justin, he did the entire thing already. It was already done, and then we were like, oh, key change, and then you could just see his shoulders drop a little bit because he knew he had to go back and re-record a bunch of stuff. I felt bad for him, but the dude did it so fast.
Yeah,
he's a genius.
The machine.
And I do think God was blessing the song too, because sometimes things come so quickly and so naturally. I think just the Lord was just had his hand on it. And I know I've had people message me about the song because it's just inspiring people to want to find a deeper relationship with God. And I just think it's cool. And I think the Lord was behind that song. And yeah, It was just such a fun process to make.
And when you're writing songs, do you find, are there particular messages that you like to emphasize in your music?
I personally, when it comes to songwriting, I love using big words, but that's kind of besides the point. I love writing songs that get people to think, but give people hope, because we go through life. Sometimes, and this could just be a me thing. Like this could be how I've gone through life, and maybe it's for me, where I've grown up being a Christian my whole entire life and kind of made the decision for myself when I was like 13 or 14. But I've kind of grown up in this thing, and it kind of became nonchalant, or it just became an everyday thing. And I had to kind of remind myself at times, like, I don't have this all together. I'm not really supposed to. That's what God's grace comes into play for. But I am here for one purpose and one thing only, and that is to worship the Lord and to honor him. And
that's so good.
I want to express that in a very passionate way, but at the same time, I want to give people the answer, which is Jesus. And that is a huge inspiration behind a lot of things that I write. So you have the passion, the Enneagram 8 Kaégan, but at the same time with the absolute hope, which is Jesus. So, I mean, what about you, Elenee?
Yeah, my conviction to write specifically about experience is really important to me. I've sat in multiple rooms with multiple writers of different calibers and try to draw from an empty well. To try to write about something that I've not experienced firsthand is really, really hard for me. Or even to try to just write for the sake of writing is hard. I really need to write from a place of experience. And I've experienced some really cool things, some hard things, but the undercurrent of everything that I write is this hope that I have in Christ, because without him, I most likely would not be alive today. So, like writing depths, it was so easy to write about depths because we're talking about the depths of God's love for us, the depths of our love for God and how he chooses to manifest that in our lives and how we worship him for it. Like,
Right.
that's such an easy thing to write about for me. Provider was another one because it's like I've literally seen the hand of God provide for me, for my family in some of the craziest ways. So it's easy to write those songs.
In the wilderness, in the fire, you will always be my provider. Strength when I am weak, when I'm tired, down to the wire, always be my provider. My
I feel like God has called me specifically to just write about the experiences and the
Right.
songs that I put out that, you know, have a really strong conviction behind it in that regard. I feel like the people really sense it and they grab onto those. So I don't know if there's really like a specific process for me. It's really different with every song, but the underlying common denominator for me is always just writing about the experience and how Jesus has like radically impacted my life.
Right.
Are there any particular songs or artists that both of you are listening to now that you find refreshing?
Elenee, I'll let you go first because I have a plethora.
A plethora. You have a plethora.
Plethora.
I have been really, 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 really doing a deep dive into Madison Ryan Ward. I don't know if y'all have heard her music, but she is like doing Christian R&B, slightly jazz influenced, really, really cool sonics in her music. Her writing is simple, but in this like profound way. So I feel like every song kind of catches me off guard because it's such a simply written song, but the way that she sings it, like the timbre in her voice mixed with like the music choices or the instrument choices, like I'm taken back every time. So Madison Ryan Ward, I'm going to put at the top of the list.
Great. Oh, I'll have to check out her music.
You got it. What about you, Kaégan?
I have always and will always be inspired by Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yes.
I've loved Stephen Curtis Chapman, not just because my parents kind of introduced me to his music since I was a kid, but his writing was so just like real, and he wrote about everyday things with from the Christian perspective. But I always have put his music in the same like lane, and I'm mostly mean this from like, for me, I'm not saying their music sounds the same, but who does the I can feel it.
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
Collins.
Phil Collins. So those two guys have been a huge influence since I was a kid. Obviously, for King and Country had a major influence when I turned around like 14-ish. Ever since they came out in 2012, For King and Country has been a massive influence on my music and writing and just life in general. And as of late, Elevation Rhythm, my friends introduced me to them, and Elevation Rhythm has been coming out with some banger stuff. And it's just so cool that people are creating such unique music, and it's making its way out into even the secular, even it's saying Jesus, it's saying God, but people are using it on their Instagram stories. They're posting it, and some people don't even believe in God, but they're posting it with this music just because it's so good. And I think that's awesome.
And when you're not creating music, do you have any hobbies or pastimes that you like to do?
So I'm getting ready to get a camera. And I have some friends here in the States that are going to show me how to do some photography stuff. But I am a painter, drawer, artist, even outside of music. And honestly, Justin, this is going to be a very nerdy thing, so get ready. I love dioramas. I love building and making dioramas, and that is like one of the best pastimes for my brain.
Wow, interesting.
I've
Yeah.
seen some of the things that he's painted, and it is crazy. Like, it's nuts. It blows my mind. I can't even wrap my head around it.
It's one of those things, and I have things displayed in my studio, and I've told people, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan too, so I have a big Millennium Falcon just chilling right above one of my bookshelves. And I tell people, I'm like, hey, get ready because you're about to enter into the nerd zone, and yeah.
No, it's cool. I feel like music is my hobby, for better or worse. I can't escape it. Even when I try to escape it, my brain thinks in melodies and songs. And I actually have a condition, which is, it's cool to some, it's annoying to me, called synesthesia. So I literally see music in colors and shapes. So even when I'm in the store and I'm trying to just take my mind off of things and I hear music playing in the background, it just like takes everything in me. Not to scream at the top of my lungs sometimes, but I say all that. I am like an entrepreneurial person, so I would say that, like, maybe to flip your question around a little bit, my day job is more of a reflection on like where my headspace is at when I'm not doing music. I'm also a mom and a wife, which is obviously my first and foremost love of all things, but I wouldn't consider those jobs or hobbies. But my entrepreneurial brain owns 4 businesses. We do like an ice cream shop. We have a bouncy castle company, which sounds crazy, but it's super fun. We also own a restaurant. I'm the 3rd generation of a Greek restaurant here in my city. And my husband owns a construction business. So all of these things like kind of take up all the extra space in my brain where most people would have hobbies. I'm doing payroll and schedules, which is super fun. But like, yeah, I think it's just part of being like a businesswoman.
Elenee, is there something uniquely Canadian that you just can't live without, or that you really appreciate?
Ooh, uniquely Canadian. I would say I love bunny hugs.
Oh,
Which is
what's that?
so a bunny hug is just a hoodie. We just give it a different name. I own a lot of bunny hugs, so that's uniquely Canadian. Um, I don't really like maple syrup that much. I don't really like poutine. But I do love language, and I'm fluent in French, and not just any French, but Quebecois. So I speak like the Quebec French, which is its own thing. Yeah, and I don't think I could live without being bilingual. It comes in clutch all the time. So maybe that's it.
You have a new single, Sunshine and Rainbows, that just came out with Landry Cantrell.
I will hold you close when it's not sunshine or rainbows. Through the things nobody knows, you don't have to be alone. And I will be the place where you'll always be safe.
How was it doing that song?
Oh, that was so fun. That it was a very different process for me. Of course, my collaborations lately have really just been with Kagan, which has been so fun. But it was like, okay, what's it like working with other people? And it's like a whole. I have to shift my brain into Landry mode, which is different than when it's in Kagan mode. Um, and it was cool. Landry's specialty is vocal production, so working with him and like tracking in real time with him was like super super intimidating at first, just because he I see his brain doing the things while I'm recording and tracking. I'm just like, oh my gosh, he hates it, and then like hearing his feedback and stuff is super cool. We wrote the song based on an image that I had in my brain. We maybe even wrote it around album art before before we had a song. So I had this image of myself like sitting in a very dark space, like just kind of, I don't know, sitting in the corner of a dark room wearing all black. And then the title of the song was Sunshine and Rainbows. So it was very like there was so much contrast between the title and the image, and I just wanted people to be like, what in the world? And so I expressed to Landry just like kind of where I was at mentally with like the creative side. Being a creative sometimes comes with some challenges in regards to mental health. And I was just explaining to him how I kind of have this like safe space with my husband and, select other people. And it's just so nice to feel like I can kind of unload. And he was like, man, I have the exact same feeling, exact same sentiments. And he told me kind of about his struggles. And then we just wrote a song about it like so quickly. Sunshine and Rainbows happened. I explained like the image and then we just rolled with it. And so tracking it was super fun. And he, got me out of my box a little bit, got me to sing a little more chill than usual, which I thought was like counterintuitive at first. I just want to like belt and scream all the time. But he made me chill out a little bit, which was cool. And then, got to partner with Simon Sangari for production, which he is a whiz, and hearing his vision for it was super cool. So yeah, Sunshine and Rainbows. And I think it really ministers to people. It's not such a Christianese song, so you're really not hearing a lot of Christian language in it. But yet for those of us who, know that we can count on Jesus to always be our safe space, like I think that kind of is the undercurrent of the song. I hope people can hear that through the song, throughout the lyrics. So yeah, Sunshine and Rainbows.
And Kaégan, I see you were featured on the single "It Is Finished."
Yeah, that song was actually, I wrote that with my friends Jeremy Rodriguez, Wendy Ferguson. We just had a wonderful time writing it. Actually, when we were writing that, I think it was last October, I think. And I'll tell you what, dude, we were just singing it for the very first time, recording a rough track, and we just started worshiping. It was just because it's just a powerful song about the crucifixion, just a wonderful reflection of God's love. And Jeremy's actually doing a lot more, and I have another song that I wrote with him, and he's going to be putting that out very soon. So I'm excited about that. And I am working on some new projects that are strictly Kaégan that I'm hopefully, Justin, going to have out by August. So I'm very pumped about that. And it's just an exciting endeavor. It will be the official first Kaégan full-length project.
So excited.
Very similar feelings to Depths. So if your listeners like Depths, then it's going to be in the same vein.
Elenee, any new projects or songs coming out?
Yes. So I have a 17-song covers project, which was birthed out of some viral success the last few years on Instagram. So it started as like a self-produced little journey of learning music production without the weight of having to like deal with my own songs. Just kind of cover the songs that have been the most impactful to me over the last, few decades of my life. So we kind of put them out there as like little 90-second clips for people. A bunch of them did really well. I think for sure over 2 or 3 maybe million views on them, which is so great. And so I partnered with the Anthem Co. to do a collaboration with them. It'll be co-produced, and the songs are pretty much just sitting in post-production land right now. Most of them are in mixing, mastering. So it'll be super great. So Goodness of God came out just a couple weeks ago, hitting 100,000 streams today, I think, or maybe tomorrow, which is so cool. I feel super grateful for that support from listeners and stuff. And then, so that was number 1. And then we're going to be releasing the next 16 sort of on like a 1 to 3 week release schedule starting probably August or end of July. And then I also have an originals EP that will be releasing end of October. And I have 2 more songs from that project that have to come out still, which, yeah, just kind of working through that in post-production. And it's going to be so great. Lots on the go.
Ooh, wow, very exciting. Yeah, I really appreciate about both of your music. You have the ability to acknowledge that, yeah, life isn't always easy, and yeah, it can go through struggles in the Christian life and can be difficult. God is with us. He's faithful. I think we need more of that in Christian music, to acknowledge that things don't always go our way, even when we're faithful Christians. And yeah, I try to keep that in mind when I'm playing music on the show.
Mm-hmm. So good.
I think Phil Wickham has a song. It said, basically, I think he was talking about his wife in the song, but he said, when she's laying on the hospital bed, you're still worthy. A very Job-esque song. But it's one of my favorite worship songs because it's just so real. And it's just talking about life. And I love songs that talk about life, but still point back,
Yeah.
to still point to home. And it's something we all need. It's something more people need. And I think that's something people that don't believe in God right now are searching for, is how can we connect their lives to the truth? And I think they're looking for that.
So good. Yeah. I could not agree more.
Anyone who might be listening, who might be struggling in their faith, or maybe they might not even have a relationship with Jesus, any advice for them?
I would say, in all things, keep on keeping on. You can fall, you can make mistakes. You're not meant to feel the weight of guilt and shame. And God did not design you for that. He designed you to feel his love and to be in communion with him. And I would say, if you falter, just get back up, dust yourself off, and remind yourself that Jesus loves me, and just keep moving forward, because he does love you and he wants you. He wants you, and he wants to have a relationship with you. And if you remember that and speak to him like a friend, not as this metaphorical man with a white beard and a lightning bolt ready to strike you. He is your father, and he wants to love you.
That's so good. I think for those who aren't walking with God yet, or who feel maybe just too broken for God or something in that vein, I think we need to make it so much more clear as Christians that God has never expected us to come to him with everything perfectly lined up. There's never been a quota that we've had to meet in order to earn God's sonship or daughtership. He's always waiting for us with open arms, and it really doesn't matter what kind of garbage or baggage that we think that we have with us. He is literally just wanting us for himself to love and to have a relationship with. And then as you get close to him and as you start to feel his love, you'll feel that weight and all that baggage. You'll start to feel it fall away. I think a lot of people don't get that far because they are so afraid that God is going to see what they're bringing with them, and he's just going to walk the other direction, just like all the other people in their lives. But he's not like that. He's not human. He's not man. He cannot lie. He won't be measured by man's standards. So he loves you just as you are. And don't be surprised that when you get in a relationship with him, that you'll also start to change as well for the better.
Oh, amen. Oh, thank you both so much for being on the show today. And before we go, are there any upcoming tours you'd like to tell us about, or your Instagram pages or Facebook where people can listen to your music?
We do have for sure one more upcoming tour date together. There is another one. We're just waiting on some final final details. There we go on that. But Kaégan is coming all the way up to my hometown, and we're doing a hometown show in Lloydminster, Alberta. That's on October 24th. There is another October date for Kitchener, but we're just waiting to solidify that. Kitchener, Ontario, I should say. And then, you can find all of the things. It sounds like Kaégan has a really cool next couple months lined up. So you want to make sure you follow Kaégan. You got to make sure that you you are on his pages, turn notifications on because this guy is sharing some really cool sneak peeks and I'm here for it. So yeah, find us both on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere that you find socials. My handle is Elenee M. Young. And Kaégan, what's yours?
Mine's Kaégan, spelled Kaegan_music. I am working on getting some things scheduled in the States, so we will see how that goes. But I have like 3 new songs coming out in the next few months, so super excited to share those things.
Ooh, oh, exciting! Wow. And yeah, thank you so much both again for being on the show. And this was a great conversation.
Thank you so much
Justin,
for having us.
For sure. Thank you so much for having us, man. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great night.